The most surprising thing to me about Reason 9.5, as I've been using it in the beta, is just how simple and easy it is to use. By and large, all these VST plugins just sort of come together, and it's as if you've got a whole other tool set that you've always sort of wanted to be there, but it's like a phantom limb where you could feel it before, but you couldn't use it. And now it's like this phantom limb has somehow been regrown. And when you want to do something else that you couldn't have done before, you just sort of can pull up a VST plugin, drop it in, and start using it exactly the same way as you've always used it in Reason. In other words, the workflow is almost seamless. The CV inputs you can still use to manipulate. You can put these VST effects in the middle of combinators as inserts. You can use them as sends. You can put rack extension effects on VST instrument channels. You can really do everything that you've always wanted to do just as easily. It's just you've got this whole other set of tools and senses that are suddenly available. And it's really changes the approach to things. You can get certain sounds way, way faster, for example, than you ever could before, because you can just directly dial something up instead of having to build these patches to make the sound you want. Now, at the same time, learning how to build those patches that you want to get the sounds that you want are really an important skill, because the integration that Reason has with searching for sounds is much, much easier. So you've got that browser on the right of Reason where you can easily just search for things. But with a lot of the VSTs, especially, for example, like the Native Instruments contact library, you first have to create a contact session and then search within it once you've chosen the right instrument. So there's certainly this whole other level of having what you want, but you have to know what's there. So it's surprising in how useful it is, but at the same time, it's also surprising in that you actually have to have this whole other skill set to make Reason do all the things you now want it to do. Like, you can't just randomly think, oh, well, I'd like some sort of VST to randomly do this thing. No, you have to actually, to make this work better for you, you actually have to know what your VSTs do in advance so that you can load up the right plugin and load up the right instance and start browsing those presets, because they're not as accessible from the browser function of Reason. And so this is going to, the patches aren't readily accessible. So this is going to make it sort of this situation where you're going to have to kind of know, okay, this VST has this great sound. This is what I want to pull in. Or I like this effect from this VST, and that's what I want to pull in, as opposed to sometimes, you know, in Reason, I'll just be sort of searching for various like bell patches, but I won't know if I want it to be, a subtractor or a Thor or an NNXT or something. I don't know exactly where I want the bell from, but I know that I need a bell. And it sort of is the other way around with the VSTs, uh, which is not surprising, but it's surprising how this is both useful and also very difficult to adjust to. So the most surprising thing is how easy it works, but on the other level, the most surprising thing is that you actually have to know how to use VSTs to get the most out of them. And you have to be familiar with your VST options. And this has one other implication, and that is that the VSTs that you're using in Reason, basically, they all have completely different interfaces and interfaces. And so you're going to have to learn how to use them, and to unlock the next level of power in them, you often have to sort of hit the Reason equivalent of tab and flip them around, metaphorically speaking. And so it's actually going to be a whole level of learning about how to unlock the VST devices. They're not some holy grail where you can just drop stuff in willy-nilly and you're going to sound great. You have to know what you have, and then you have to know how to use it, just as much as you would in Reason. So it doesn't necessarily, it's not easy mode at all. It's just a different way of doing things quickly. And once you start getting all the pieces working together, now that I've been using the beta for a couple of weeks, it's really starting to speed up, and like the synergies are just really surprising and fun. And I guess that's the least surprising thing about Reason 9.5. VST support is fun. That doesn't surprise any of us. I really hope Reason 9.5 is what you're looking for. Let me know in the comments.